As a fan of college football, week 3 had me like, well, well. But I predicted most of it. So let's get into it. Hey, it's your girl Autumn, and as a fan of college football, I'm here to talk to you about what just might go down in week 3 of college football. Y'all see these games? Are y'all gonna leave the house on Saturday? Are y'all gonna be able to get out and do what y'all need to do? Because these games, it's some serious business going on this week. Now, I was wrong last week. I didn't think it was gonna be no whole bunch of serious business, and it was. There's actually 3 upsets, but let's check my buzzworthy watch out and see what we gonna do. Number 12 Clemson at Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech playing at home. They might pull that upset. Wisconsin at Alabama. I think Alabama gonna pull that off. They're ranked number 19 at the moment. Number 6 Georgia at number 15 Tennessee. Honestly, I think Georgia got that. I think Kirby gonna go down and do what needs to be done. Number 18 South Florida at number 5 Miami. Now, we all know after what happened last week, which was South Florida upsetting Florida, the Florida Gators. Like, I'm still stunned. I still can't believe none of this happened. You know, they in Florida trying to figure out who the best team is in Florida at this point. You know what I'm saying? Like, they trying to figure it out. And I'm like, I don't know who it's them. I don't know who it is. You know what I'm saying? I guess we about to figure it out. Honestly, Miami playing at home, I think Miami is going to pull this one off. We're going to see what Carson Beck got in store for South Florida. Florida at number 3 LSU. Again, we don't really know how Florida playing right now. It's still kind of up in the air. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. LSU at home, just go for the home team. I don't know. I guess they're gonna probably pull it off. Number 16, Texas A&M. At number 8, Notre Dame. We never really know what's going on with Notre Dame either. Am I right? I'm gonna say Texas A&M gonna get that. Vandy at number 11, South Carolina. Y'all know Vandy before these upsets, so don't be surprised. Do not be surprised. Ohio at number 1, Ohio State. We already know what my Buckeyes gonna do. They're gonna get this win. They're gonna get all their people rotated in just like we did last week. Match in action. Watch Morgan State at Toledo. My Toledo Rockets pulled it off last week, so we're gonna hope that they pull it off again. Liberty at Bowling Green. They took an L. Bowling Green took an L last week, but you know what I'm saying? I think they might have it this week. And then the hate watch, Central Michigan at Michigan, who's ranked number 23. Central Michigan, if you have it in your heart, if you have it in your wheelhouse, if this is something that you feel like you can do, I need you to pull the upset so that I can have 2 great weeks of college football and being a hater. It's your girl, Autumn, Aries. Peace. Hey, it's your girl Autumn, and I welcome you back to another edition of As a Fan of College Football. And man, I'm gonna tell y'all what, I just, you know, every week, it's only been 3 weeks, right? It's only been 3 weeks, but I don't know how people don't realize that college football is the best, most exciting sport of all sports. And when I say I mean that, like, I 100% mean that. There's nothing like it. You don't know what's gonna happen from week to week. Although I did know, every single thing that I said was gonna happen happened. So y'all just saw me play the little clip. Everything that I said was going to happen happened. But there are a few things that I did not predict. I didn't really see coming. Maybe I just didn't. It just wasn't clocking for me. Like, it wasn't on my radar. But enough of that. We're gonna get into it. First of all, I have to ask you to please, please, please hit the like button. I promise. I know you're like 2 minutes into this, but you're going to like this video if you're a fan of college football. Second of all, you ain't even got to do it right now. I'm gonna make sure that I try to remind y'all like halfway through the video to go ahead and hit the subscribe, because you want to subscribe to me because you like me. And you like me talking about college football. Like, there's not a lot of girls that's out here talking strictly about college football. So if you enjoy me, if you enjoy a girl that just loves college football, just as a fan, I don't be doing, I be doing the most, but I don't be doing too much. If that makes any sense to you, it makes a lot of sense to me. So go ahead and hit the subscribe. You know what I'm saying? If you don't hit it now, just hit it a little bit later on the day. And if there's anything in this video that you might find humorous, or, even if you hate, even if it's something about it you hate and you just need somebody else to see it, go ahead and hit the share. Go ahead and share the video. Whether you like it or not, or you be like, man, she crazy, but take a look at this. Go ahead and do all that. Also, real quick, be sure to follow me on Instagram. That is where I put out my weekly buzzworthy watch list for the games that I'm going to talk about each week, and or for the most part, because each week that I've been gathering more information. I hardly ever want the video to be over an hour, and I find myself trying to edit to get it to be under an hour because I found other things that I need to talk about. But that's neither here nor there. Go ahead and make sure you follow me on Instagram. I made a TikTok too. I didn't put the TikTok on here, but I made a TikTok too. I'm Autumn the Aries everywhere. But if you really want some humorous, like you want to see me like crashing out or or just talking about college football on a Saturday while I'm watching football, you want to see how I'm reacting in real time, you gotta follow me on Twitter. I know it's called X, but your mama named you Twitter, and I'm gonna continue to call you Twitter. So now that we got that all out of the way, let's get started. Now, a couple of these games I'm not going to spend too much time on. I'm just going to let you know how I felt about them, and we're going to move on. So we're going to start with a little bit of action. Y'all know I've been following the University of Toledo Rockets. That's my alumni. And I have been following Bowling Green State University, who I hate, but I love Eddie George. So for Toledo, Morgan State played at Toledo, and you know what I'm saying? It was a whole big old blowout. It was a whole big old blowout. It just was what it was. But it was like 60-0, something like that. It was crazy. But, they blew them out. Toledo rotated 3 quarterbacks in who went 27 for 37, 297 yards. Between the 3 of them on rushing, there was 47 carries for 260 yards. And basically the defense dominated. I mean, you could tell by what the score was that it was just a whole wrap. So shout out to my Rockets. Toledo. Like, shout out to y'all. Keep doing the good things. You know what I'm saying? We started off rocky. No pun intended. We started off rocky. But we moving on up. All right, so moving on to Liberty at Bowling Green. So Bowling Green won the game 23-13. I saw a little bit of Eddie George's Coach George, I guess I need to call him. I saw a little bit of Coach George's post-game speech, and he was just talking about how much he just loves walking into that stadium and how electrifying it is. And honestly, I am so just happy for him. Now, I know he probably felt the same way when he was coaching at Tennessee State. I know, he probably had the same thing, but he seems really, really happy at Bowling Green, and I'm happy for him. Like, I'm just overwhelmed with joy for him because he seems like he's really enjoying his coaching tenure at Bowling Green. But BG was leading at the half by 10. Drew Payne, their quarterback, went 16 for 32 for 146 yards, 33 carries and 164 yards, one touchdown between Kadarius Roberts, who was 10 for 59, and Chris McMillan, who was 12 for 56. And, there were a couple other people that, of course, carried the ball. But they did really well. I mean, it was a great game from what I hear. I wasn't able to watch it, but kudos, I guess, to Bowling Green. You know what I'm saying? I guess I got to give y'all props. All right, moving right along. Wisconsin at Alabama. Alabama has their days these days. And, I mean, they were playing Wisconsin, so they won. You know what I'm saying? They won. It was 14-38. Alabama held Wisconsin scoreless in the first half. So, their defense was doing what they were supposed to be out there doing. Ty Simpson was nearly perfect. Now, this is something to talk about. Alabama's quarterback, Ty Simpson, was nearly perfect. 24 of 29 for 382 yards and 4 touchdowns. That boy was out there balling his ass off. I don't know. I don't know if, he was tired of people talking mess, but he went out there and definitely balled for his life. Ryan Williams had his first 100-yard rushing game after going 75 yards on a trick play during the first snap of the third quarter. So I guess they was feeling real good about themselves. Like, you know what I'm saying? They ain't gonna score on us, so we about to just start just doing anything. That's what be happening. This is what happens with trick plays. Have y'all noticed this? Either people are desperate, like they're like the defense is like shutting them down, and they just, the coach is like, okay, we have to do something way left. And that's when you start getting like fake field goals, and you start getting, surprising onside kicks, and you start getting these reverse plays, and all this craziness. That's when you start getting all of that, right? Out of desperation. But the other times that you get it is when they whooping on them. You know what I'm saying? The team is whooping on them, and they're like, you know what? I'm about to just try this. Like, why don't we just try this? We're up by a significant amount. Why don't we just go ahead and try this? So they did. That's what they did. They went on ahead right out the gate in the third quarter. And so the majority of his yards, the majority of Ryan Williams' yards came from that 75-yard trick play. So kudos to him. Just to note, Wisconsin had several key players out with injuries, and those key players are still going to be out next week when they play Maryland. But I think that that's going to be a good game. That's a Big Ten matchup. I actually love Maryland's coach. Of course, I can't think of his name right now, but I love it. I love that guy. Like, I watched his Big Ten press, like when they did the Big Ten thing out in Vegas. I watched him there, and I've watched a lot of his game speeches and things of that nature. And I just feel like he's a good guy. You know what I mean? And I'm always rooting for the black coach. I mean, I'm just gonna put it out there. It just is what it is. I be rooting for us, but that's not the main thing with him. Like, I genuinely think he's a good guy. He's a likable coach, and hopefully that translates to the team. And I can remember him talking about how things are going to kind of be an uphill battle because they just hadn't been having great seasons prior to him or whatever. So I don't know. Hopefully, Maryland starts to do well, not too well, not too much in the Big Ten. You know what I'm saying? Not too much, but genuinely, I hope good for them. So moving right along, let's talk about Florida at LSU. Now, we as a congregation of fans of college football have been trying to figure out what the hell has been going on with football in the state of Florida. Am I correct? Am I correct? We have been trying to figure it out. And, after this week, I think we kind of know. But what I'm going to say here about Florida is we know who is not the best team in Florida right now. And that is the Florida Gators, unfortunately, for some. Unfortunately, for some people. They were held scoreless. They were held scoreless in the second half. I mean, they were held scoreless in the second half. DJ Lagway had 5 interceptions. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I mean, what was going on? And what's crazy about it is he still threw for 287 yards, which was 60 yards more than what Garrett Newsmeyer, the quarterback for LSU, threw. So how does any of that work? Like, I don't know. I was reading through because some of these games I didn't get a chance to watch, but I reading through the watching the recaps and reading through the stats and stuff. I'm like, he did what? 5 interceptions? That's insane. That's just terrible. Like, I mean, there's really nothing else to say about that other than that's pretty ass. If you want to just keep it a buck, like 5 interceptions, bro, what's going on here? Oh, crazy. Deshaun Spears was responsible for 2 of the LSU interceptions, with AJ Halsey, DJ Pickett, and Tamarcus Cooley on the other 3. So they had 3 different people out there getting picks, and I know they was lit. Out there getting them picks like that. Like, crazy. 5 interceptions. That is just insane. Again, this was another game that the stats really didn't matter because the Gators had 23 first downs to LSU's 10 first downs. I mean, what is it with stats not mattering? You can look at the stats. I said this last week. You can look at the stats on some of these games and be like, what in the hell was going on in this game for them to have lost the way that they did? The score was 10-20. So moving on to the hate watch. I can't necessarily celebrate a hate watch this time around because Michigan definitely beat up on Central Michigan 63-3. I mean, definitely beat up on them. But I mean, again, when I talked about this game on my watch list, I just asked Central Michigan to beat them. I didn't say that they would. So I still had a perfect slate. I said Toledo was going to win. I said Bowling Green was going to win. I said Alabama was going to win. And I said LSU was going to win. I was just being hopeful for Michigan to get beat because, I hate them. But Like I said, they failed me with the hate watch. It was a blowout. It was just ridiculous. Of course, Bryce Underwood stole the show, but that's what he should have done against Central Michigan. And so my whole thing about that is because as you know, last week, you know, he was having a little bit of a temper tantrum type of situation going on. And honestly, I think it was just because he wasn't winning. And you'll see that, and I believe that you'll see it again. And y'all know, as much as I hate that school, like I do want to see Bryce do, I want to see him do well. Like I be wanting to see the kids do well. I might hate the program, but and I don't want nobody to win against Ohio State, but ultimately I want to see these guys win. I mean, I want to see these guys do well. I'll put it that way. So, but so he got out there and he did, everybody was, oh, Bryce, he did this. I mean, come on, y'all. This is what he was supposed to do against Central Michigan. Let's not do this. Let's not. I mean, it's the same thing they did with Arch when whatever game it was he played after we beat them. You know what I'm saying? Then the next game he was trash all over again. I said I wasn't even gonna talk about him today, but it is what it is. It's kind of like the same thing. So I'm hoping that Bryce, he can get himself together, but also this is what he was supposed to do against Central Michigan. It just is what it is. He went 16 for 25, 235 yards passing with 1 touchdown, but he also rushed 9 carries, 114 yards and 2 touchdowns. So, I mean, he really was out there with the skates on. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, 2 touchdowns, you scored 2 touchdowns, you scored 3 touchdowns, 1 passing touchdown or whatever. But he really was out there with the skates. I mean, he was out there doing exactly what he was supposed to do. So their interim coach, Coach Biff Poggi, I guess that's how you say his name, said that a Labrador Retriever could coach Bryce. And the only thing that I could think to myself was against Central Michigan. Like, because, last week, it wasn't really no whole lot of controlling Bryce. It wasn't no whole bunch of like coaching Bryce last week. So what are you even talking about? Like, what would even make you say that? You're trying to say that he's just very easy to coach. I don't believe that. And again, that's no shade. Like that's zero amount of shade. But I just feel like I don't believe that for one moment. I don't believe that for one moment. But whatever. It is what it is. They won. I hate them and whatever. Moving right along. So we were talking about who the best team is in Florida, and clearly it's Miami because South Florida got beat down by them 12-49. And it's really not much to say other than Miami is the best team in Florida as of right now. Carson Beck got out there and balled like, I figured he would. He's clearly feeling at home in Miami. He went 23 for 28, 340 yards, threw for 3 touchdowns, and rushed for 1. So Carson Beck was also out there balling his ass off. Again, against South Florida, but that there had to be some kind of, I don't want to say fear, but they were alert. You know what I mean? They were alert. I don't think that they went in, like this was just going to be a like blow away type of a game. I'm pretty sure that they were alert after what South Florida did to Florida, unless they had a specific perception about Florida. So I say all of that to say that Miami is definitely, as of week 3, the best team in Florida. There's no debating that after all of this. Mark Fletcher Jr. rushed for 120 yards, 2 touchdowns, and South Florida had 2 field goals and a touchdown. And in that touchdown, there was no extra point. So that's that on that. That's how all of that happened. That's how they got their 12. I don't even really know what else to say. You know what I mean? That's a lot. And also, have y'all heard? I mean, I'm pretty sure that you guys have heard about these teams that are 0-3 and they are getting rid of the coaches. So Virginia Tech, I don't know what I was about to say right there, but Virginia Tech fired Brent Pry, and they're looking at a couple of other coaches, a couple of candidates for the job. According to ESPN, they could quite possibly be looking at South Carolina's coach Shane Beamer, South Florida's coach Alex Golish, and maybe these are just what what ESPN is like saying that who they should look at. Memphis coach Ryan Silverfield, James Madison coach Bob Chesney, and Southern Miss coach Charles Huff, who would all, according to ESPN, be decent candidates for this team. Now, one thing I heard about Virginia Tech was, possibly looking at Michael Vick. I heard that Michael Vick, was like he would be completely excited to coach for his old team. But, Michael Vick needs to get settled where he is at Norfolk State. I think him coaching at Norfolk State for a couple of years, maybe even like 5 years, depending on how it's going, I think that he could turn into a decent coach. It's just like anything else when it comes to like development, right? I talk about development a lot. And I think players who become coaches, they learn fast. You could have been cool with every single coach that you had. You could have had an understanding with them. You could understand how they coach. You could understand all these things. But until you're in that position, I would assume that it's more of a shocker than you think to try to coach a team. I mean, from going in and having to win over these guys, trust, having to make sure that they know that that they can be comfortable with you, but also that they're not going to push you over. I can just imagine what it's like especially going into a school that is not doing well on the field, right? So I think, and then you go and like Vic did, you go and lose the first game real bad. You know what I'm saying? Then they won and then they lost this week. So you know what I mean? Like I'm pretty sure like the emotions is high, and he just has to get settled in. He has to learn how to coach. You know what I'm saying? I don't really, and I don't. It's like, how do you learn that other than by doing it, right? So I think that he just needs to stay where he is and see how well he can get these kids together to win in their conference and see how they do. I mean, that's pretty much what Eddie George did with it, and he ended up leading them to like whatever the little conference championship before he left to go to Bowling Green. So now he's on a bigger playing field, and we'll see at the end of the season exactly how well he did. So far he's doing good. The other coach that has gotten the axe is UCLA's Deshaun Foster. Now, there's a lot of talk about UCLA because Nico Iamaleava, I think that's how you say it. There was a whole media circus around him and his dad because, Tennessee wasn't giving him what he wanted. And then, he went to the transfer portal, and then there was a couple of other schools that they thought he was going to go to, but he ended up at UCLA. And actually, I think UCLA's old quarterback went to Tennessee and low-key been balling now. We'll talk about that in a minute. But so it was already like craziness going on over there for that. But now for them to be like 0-3, they've been outscored 108-43 in these last few games. That ain't funny. I ain't really laugh like that because that's actually messed up. Like these boys are out here struggling in the Big Ten. And here's another thing. I want y'all to knock it off about the Big Ten and the MAC at this point, because I'm gonna talk about that a little bit later too. But stop sleeping on the Big Ten, okay? Now, but you can't be like, this is a conference that you cannot come to and just be trash. We're not having it. We're like they just can't. Then they just come to the Big Ten. Like we can't do this, y'all got to get it together over at UCLA. Y'all got to get it. Y'all got to get it together. So ESPN is saying that they're feeling like there are five candidates that could do well at UCLA. It's Florida State defensive coordinator Tony White, BYU coach Kalani, is it Sitake? Cleveland Browns offensive coordinator Tommy Rees, Boise State coach Spencer Danielson. So, I don't know. It's kind of crazy. And then they were saying something about like how the transfer portal is going to open for 30 days now. Cause I mean, I'm assuming I probably need to do a video about that because I need to read up on it and try to understand it for myself. But I'm assuming that they are opening up the transfer portal to allow these players to transfer if they want to because the coach has been fired, which is different. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like I don't ever remember things like this happening. Well, I mean, the transfer portal, I guess, has not always been around, but like, what did you do? What did they do back in the day when a coach got fired? They just stayed there and played to the end of the season. And then after the season was over, they was like, all right, well, I'm getting up out of here if they didn't like what was going on, right? Ain't that how that went? I don't know. They're just making everything extremely crazy at this point. Like, it's too much going on with transfer portal. And then if we want to just really go into another game of a coach that people are saying that he probably would leave. They're talking about Dabo. He ain't going nowhere. He's not going anywhere, guys. He's been at that school forever, and he got up there on that in that interview and crashed out a little bit. Like, what do y'all want me to do? We've been winning. We've been winning. We've been winning the games. I don't know what you guys are talking about. And to be fair, Clemson has always been a very dominant football team. Like, no matter how you feel about him, like, they've always been pretty dominant. They have. I mean, they haven't been. It seems like they've been on the decline the last couple of years. Because what did he say? He did say like 8 of the 10 years or something. So I'm assuming that he's talking about these last 2 years because they kind of have been on the decline. But they were on his ass because what do you mean? Like, this is Clemson. It's just like if it was Coach Saban, before he left. Like, nobody is expecting these teams to lose because they've been up so high for so long. But that's neither here nor there. So speaking of Clemson and Georgia, I did get to watch this game. I mean, Clemson and Georgia Tech. Sorry, I did get to watch this game, and it was like a noon game, and I think it was a noon game. And when I tell y'all, I was glued to the TV. Like, I just could not believe what was happening, but I called it. I said, Georgia Tech, sometimes I feel like I know people talk a lot about home field advantage. And I know that there's an advantage there. I do. But everybody doesn't always win at home. You know what I'm saying? They just don't. Sometimes there's going to be a better team that's going to be able to beat you at home, no matter what your streak is, or no matter what the atmosphere is. So I kind of like don't really play into that a whole lot, but for this particular game I did. I said that's going to be the edge, and Georgia Tech at home is going to be the edge. We know that Georgia Tech low-key been balling. Low-key, like they haven't been like a terrible football team like at least last year. Like, they weren't super terrible, right? They were contending. That's the word I'm looking for. They were actually contending with these teams, and they pulled an upset. Like, they beat Clemson at home with a 55-yard field goal, and everybody was just like, this young man just kicked a 55-yard field goal. And the way that they did it, like, it was what, 20, let me see, what did I say? Yeah, it was like 20 seconds left. And I heard the announcers say that this is something that they practice, where they do this whole hurry up, special teams getting on the field to do whatever it is that they need to do to win the game. And when I say they executed it perfectly, it was so perfect. I can't say how perfect it was. Like, they got out there and I was like, 55 yards. Like, is he gonna really kick a 55-yard field goal and get it? And he did. So kudos to Georgia Tech for coming up with the win. Now, they did storm the field and they did tear down the goalpost. And sometimes I just be like, act like you've been here before. But sometimes I think I do kind of understand, because Clemson was ranked 12. Georgia Tech was not ranked at all. So, I guess it's a big deal. You know what I'm saying? It's a big deal. They tore down the thing. They was trying to get it out the stadium. It was real hard to do, but they did it, and they took it to some river. I don't even know what river. They said they took it to some river. I don't know what river it was. Like, what river is close to Georgia Tech? I don't know. I have no idea. Anyway, kudos to them. Dabo, it just wasn't enough. So sucks to be you. And shout out to you for taking another L, because some of us like to see when you be taking them L's. All right. Moving right along. Another upset alert. What did I tell y'all about Vandy? What did I tell y'all about Vandy? I told y'all, don't sleep on Vandy. I think that's what I said. Do not sleep on Vandy. This wasn't even a close game. I mean, it wasn't like a complete blowout, but it wasn't close. It was 31-7 that they put on South Carolina, who was ranked number 11. I'm like, they really did that. They really went on ahead and did the do. So Diego, why do I be messing up everybody's name? I'm sorry, y'all. If y'all hear this, just don't charge it to anything. Just rock with me, okay? Diego Pavia went 18 for 25, 177 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jemazel Lassetier and Cedric Alexander each had a rushing touchdown. Martell Height and Cedric Alexander had a receiving touchdown. South Carolina had 242 passing yards between Luke Doty and Lenore Sellers, but they both also had an interception. And South Carolina had 3 fumbles. So I guess that's just how the game went. It would seem like it was a whole bunch of just nonsense on South Carolina's end. So I told y'all though, I said Vandy is going to win this game. Vandy is going to win this game. And that is what they did. So shout out to me for knowing. Another game that I knew was going to be an upset. That damn Notre Dame. The game was close. I'm not going to hold y'all. The game was close. They played Texas A&M. Texas A&M ranked 16. Notre Dame is ranked number 8. And it was 41-40. Very close game. Very high intense type of game. It was crazy. It wasn't nothing but a shootout, basically. But they went into South Bend and they took care of business. Exactly what I said they were going to do. I don't know. Marcus Freeman, he's another guy that I be wanting to see do well, but I just can't. Like, I can't. I don't know what's going on at Notre Dame. I say this every week, don't I? I have no idea what's really going on with Notre Dame. And I don't know if it's a coaching issue. I don't know if it's a personnel issue on the field. But Notre Dame just they just remind me of Penn State. Like, they just can't get right. They just cannot get right. Texas, let's see. So Marcel Reed was 17 of 37 for a career high 370 yards and 2 touchdowns. One that was made with 13 seconds left to Nate Borkircher to win the game after the extra point by Randy Bond. Notre Dame's Tay Johnson had a 20-yard long punt return. So I don't know what that was about. I think they scored a touchdown. I think that was is that where they touchdown came? Is that where they touchdown came? No, maybe that's not where they touchdown came out. No, it wasn't. Or maybe it was. I don't know. CJ Carr, I know y'all be like, this girl just be on here talking. And I enjoy it because I'm just a fan. That's all. You know what I'm saying? I be trying to pay attention to everything, but it is what it is. CJ Carr was 20 of 23, 20 of 32 for 293 yards, 1 touchdown. The other 3 touchdowns came from their backfield. Jeremiah Love, who everybody, really be hyping up big time, was 23 of 94, 1 touchdown. Jadarian Price was 12 of 68 with 2 touchdowns. Notre Dame is 0-2, but ended up ranked number 24. Okay, which is 100% insane. And I think after Vandy beat South Carolina, South Carolina dropped out of the rankings completely. So I need to understand how Notre Dame is 0-2, but they're still ranked. Well, there could quite possibly be a reason for this.
But as far as what my votes are and what my process.
And by the way, this is Haley Sawyer, who is one of the AP poll voters. So, I just want y'all to listen to what she has to say.
But as far as what my votes are and what my process is, I wake up early in the
First of all, she already was pissing me off just because I knew she was about to say something that was gonna piss me off just by the look on her face. But we're gonna keep going.
morning after covering a game late in the night before. Don't want to go too much into my progress.
Don't want to go too much into her process because there is no process, lady. There is no process.
Or process or logic, but I will say I appreciate everybody's interaction on social media and all of your feedback. There's tons of people that vote on the AP poll, and it's not a perfect system, but at the end of the day, no matter who you pick, it does even out because there's so many people who vote. And
no matter how you, girl, no matter how you pick, it's all gonna even out. Is this a damn game? Can somebody let this lady know that this is not a damn game? And although I'm not 100% locked into these ratings, like they really do play a part in college football. They do. It just is. That's why there's so many. That's why so many people do polls. That's why so many people, you know what I mean? Like they really do play a part. How are you gonna sit up here and say this like you're just playing a damn Monopoly or something? Like this is a game to her. These are the people that y'all have voting on these AP polls. Like I can't even take it serious. What do you mean they're all gonna even out? Of course they're all gonna even out. Of course they are. But what does that have to do with you watching a team and choosing something bogus? Like, are you actually watching these games? Are you actually and all of this was after her rankings in week 2, okay?
And like I said, it's really fun for discussion.
It's just fun for discussion. It's just fun for discussion, that's all. Girl,
doesn't, probably matter in the end, but I'm
it doesn't probably matter in the end.
glad that people are having a really good time with it. But as far
So Haley, I need you to knock it off. That is exactly what I need from you. I need you to knock it off. And so I remember it brought me to this video, and it made me want to take a look at the the one website that tracks all of the polls or whatever to see how she voted this week. So let's take a look. Let's take a look and see how she voted this week. So they have here on College Poll Tracker, they have football and basketball rankings, and they update them, as the weeks go by. And so on here, there's like a detailed rankings. There's a ballot grid view, and we can take a look at the ballot grid view, even though like it's kind of crazy. So what happens is you can click on these, and you can click on a team and it'll stay there and it'll show you who voted for what or whatever. So let's take a look at Miss Haley, because if you click on their name, it'll go and it'll tell you exactly what they did. So she's a Southern California News Group, Los Angeles, California. She covers UCLA and high school sports for the Southern California News Group. Blase splay, blase splickety splay. Okay. Let's see how she did. Specifically, I want to see what she did with if she ranked South Carolina and if she ranked Notre Dame. So let's go down here and see. So far, I mean, I guess this is fine. Whatever. Let's go down. Let's see. Notre Dame, who is 0-2. She ranked number 19. She put Notre Dame at 19. South Carolina ain't in there at all. South Florida, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But this just goes to show you that she's on some bullshit. I just had to say it. I just got to put it out there because this is insane. Like, lady, Why are they are 0-2. They are 0-2. She ain't the only one though. She ain't the only one that put them in there. But just speaking on her because she came out there with that funky ass video. That all of that was real stupid. All of that was real damn stupid. So moving along, I have 2 more games to talk about, and then we're going to wrap this up. Georgia at Tennessee. Did y'all watch this game? I really, really hope that y'all were able to watch this game because, baby, when I tell you it was one of them, it was one of them. I had to go and look. I had to go and look at my Twitter so that I could see the tweets that I was tweeting out during the game because I was spazzing. First of all, it was literally an air show. It was literally an air show. Like, I mean, that because the game, Tennessee ended up, Georgia ended up winning 44-41. But this game had me on the edge of my seat. Like, I just couldn't even believe what was going on during this game. But just a little overview again, 44-41. Y'all know how much I hate overtime. And this one was no different. What I kept telling everyone, what I will continue to tell everyone and say to everyone is you do not want to be tied with Kirby Smart in the fourth quarter. This is not something that you want to do. You don't want to be tied. You don't even want to be within a touchdown. Like if you get to the fourth quarter and it's 5 minutes left or so and you're only down by a touchdown, I hate to tell you this, but Kirby's coming for you. And as much as I say this all the time as well, as much as I have that hate that I got for Georgia after they did what they did to us, because I know, like I have felt this pain. It's like they were down. They were going out bad at first. Like let me look at this. Okay. Tennessee scored 21 points in the first half. I mean, in the first quarter. It was 21-7. And then Georgia scored 10 in the second quarter. It was 17-21. Because Tennessee didn't score anything in the second quarter. Third quarter, Georgia scored 10 more. So they had 27. Tennessee scored 7, so it was 28-27. And that's what it was going into the fourth quarter. And what happened? Georgia scored 11 points. Tennessee scored 10. They were tied. And what happened after that? They went into overtime. And Georgia, did they score? Let's see. Georgia scored. Did they score I think they might have scored a field goal. I think they scored a field goal. And they had a ball, they went down, they scored a field goal. And when it went back the other way, your boy got up there and missed the kick. That game was so damn live. I ain't even gonna hold you. I was literally on the edge of my seat and I was like, oh my God. I'm like, Tennessee is about to win this game. I was literally streaming. If you guys don't know, I stream on the Tag app. And I was literally streaming on Tag and was telling them, I'm like, yo, Tennessee is about to win this game. I cannot believe it. And that kicker got out there and did the absolute least. But again, you cannot you cannot be tied. You cannot be within a touchdown dealing with Kirby Smart. He's an evil genius. I don't know what he does. I don't know how he does it, but he is an excellent coach. And those boys listen to him. It don't matter who out there. They listen to him and they go out there and they execute. And you can't say anything bad about it. You can't say anything bad about it. It's just like, yeah, you can hate Georgia all you want, but Kirby is doing a thing. Like, it was an amazing game. I'm not even gonna go into the stats and all this and the other because it don't even matter. But I hope that y'all had a chance to watch that game. Now, moving on to the last game that I'm going to talk about, which of course is my Buckeyes. Um, the Buckeyes played at home. You know, we played in the shoe, and Ohio University, who is the MAC, who were the MAC champions last year, won the MAC championship, came with a game. Okay, like I know that a lot of people were thinking that Ohio State was going to go in here and completely blow these boys out. I didn't think that. I felt like it was going to be a good enough win, you know what I mean? While also giving them a challenge. Yeah, I thought that they would be able to like rotate a few more people. And actually they did, because I think King Host came in for a minute. Actually I could pull his stuff up. I think he came in for a minute. But Julian saying, I don't know about nobody else's quarterback, but Julian Sand went out there and passed for 347 yards and 3 touchdowns. Okay. And Jeremiah Smith went out there and got two tutties. You know what I'm saying? He was feeling real good about himself. So, you know, but it was a little scary at first. Like, I'm not gonna hold you. Like, I really had to lock in and watch the game. And again, I never thought that they were going to just go in and blow this team out, because like I keep telling y'all, like, please, y'all stop sleeping on the MAC. Stop. They're a decent conference. I know that they're not a Big Ten. I know that they're not um a SEC. You know what I'm saying? Like, I do know this about the MAC, but they played the best team in the MAC. And they gave them initially a little bit of a run for their money. And then, you know, and this was early in the game. I think what happened with Ohio is they just kind of ran out of steam and started making mistakes. But this was a game that, you know, this was a true to stats type of a game. You know, like I said, there was 347 passing yards to their 113, 226 rushing yards to their 68. And speaking of rushing, you know, Bo Jackson got out there and did what needed to be done as well. And one thing I want to say about that, so he had, let's see, Bo Jackson had 109 rushing yards on 9 carries, and Tate had 5 receptions for 101 yards and a touchdown. Buckeyes had a total of 572 yards of offense. So, I mean, they were out there balling. But here's one thing that I want to say. I understand when people say that they are often irritated by fans, because I, too, in being active on social media, am a little irritated at fans. And it's mainly because, like, I feel like that they're like pitting the players against one another. So everybody is like, well, not everybody, but these specific fans that I saw on Twitter and wherever else was saying how, you know, Bo Jackson needs to be RB1. They just kept saying it. Bo Jackson needs to be RB1. My thing is, between Bo Jackson, James Peoples, and CJ Donaldson, like, Bo Jackson at this point may have a little bit of an edge, but what does it matter if he's RB1? Like, they are a unit. That's how our running backs have always been. Even kind of just like with Jeremiah and Carnell Tate. Like, Jeremiah, yes, he's a superstar in himself because he's a freshman, or he was a freshman last year. You know, he's a sophomore now. But because of what Jeremiah did as a freshman, that's what makes him so freaking special. You see what I'm saying? So, like, but he's playing as, like, I feel like him and Carnell Tate are playing pretty close. You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like one is a whole lot better than the other. So just like RJ says from Adapt and Respond, he said he calls Jeremiah wide receiver 1, and he calls Carnell Tate wide receiver 1A or 1B, or however he does, because they're so equal. Like, they're not, if Carnell Tate is having a great day, look at the Texas game. they got that ball to Carnell, and he was doing what needed to be done. You know what I'm saying? That Jeremiah dropped a couple of balls. You know, he didn't play as well as everybody wanted him to play. But that's how a team works. That is how a team, like, what do people not understand about that? This is a unit. This is a unit. Just because on the depth chart you see 1, 2, 3, that doesn't necessarily mean that it doesn't necessarily always mean, because sometimes it does mean that, but it doesn't always mean that this person is better than this person. They have to learn how to work as a team. Period. It goes the same as for the quarterback position. And we know quarterback is kind of a special position. So it's like, you're always going to have like that star QB on your team. You're going to have the one that's supposed to be really doing all this, that, and the third. And then you're going to have, when it comes to Ohio State, you're going to have one that's kind of sitting behind them and developing in the background. But that one that comes in that's developing in the background should be able to come in and maybe not be as great, but still be able to carry the game the way that they the way that they should. And we've seen that in the past. You know what I'm saying? We've seen it happen. So I want these fans to just shut up. Like, it's so annoying. It's so annoying to see, like, somebody has one bad game, or not. I don't want to say bad game. They have one game where they're not the superstar in their position, and they're calling for them to not be in the ranking of the position that they are. And it's just annoying. Now, it'd be different if they was just out there not doing nothing for real, or if they really was out there just being trash. Like, think about these running backs. Sometimes, like, I mean, maybe the hole ain't open all the time. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they didn't get a good block. Maybe it's a lot of times when it comes to running backs, it's not all on them. That comes down to, and again, it's the same with any position, because it's a team. And I'm gonna stop rambling about this, but it really does piss me off. So how about we enjoy Bo Jackson, CJ Donaldson, and James Peoples as they're rotated in and out of the games, and playing their part and doing what needs to be done. Let Coach Day and whoever else do what they need to do. Let them call the shots. They know who's best fitted and who's best suited for these particular games, because what are they doing? They're watching film. They know what's what. You know what I'm saying? Let them coaches do their jobs and stop trying to put these players against each other. We are a team, and that don't even just go for Ohio State. That goes for any team. Any of y'all fans that's just doing the most. Again, if they trash, I get it, but not name person that I just named is trash. If they was just downright trash, I understand exactly where you're coming from, but that is not the case with these guys. So knock it off, okay? Knock it off. So that's all I'm gonna talk about this week. It's like 2:00 in the morning, y'all. I had a time trying to hook up this new equipment that I have, and I was like, I'm gonna go ahead and record this anyway. As a fan of college football, again, be sure to like, be sure to share, be sure to subscribe to the channel. And if there are any games in particular that you want me to cover, let me know. I will do the proper research. I won't be up here like, I don't know who won. But honestly, again, I won't be like, I don't know what the score was. I just know who won. I mean, sometimes I just, you know what I'm saying? I just be knowing who won. Okay. Like, sometimes it just is what it is. All right. But anywho, I'm gonna stop rambling. So until you hear me or see me again, peace.